What's up, everyone? I'm Osiris, and you're watching the second episode of WoWtalk. Today I want to talk a little bit about Immersion, Community, Endgame, and Thunderforged items that are upcoming in the next 5.2 patch. Immersion. Let's start with that. What does Immersion actually mean? Right? You hear developers talk all the time when they're making an MMO, like, we want players to be immersed in our content and, you know, be immersed. And what does that actually mean? I guess it's kind of a personal thing, but essentially it means that you want to get the feeling that you get lost into the world that the developers have created for you, so that you basically take the role of your character and then feel like you're a part of the world itself. I think that's pretty important, more so for MMOs than for other games, because you know, you do spend a lot of time in there, and you level up your character, and it's more important to get that feeling that you feel part of something. In WoW, Immersion used to work very well, especially in vanilla WoW and the Burning Crusade, because you needed to spend so much time on doing things that you just got sucked into the world automatically while doing all that stuff. Now, more recently, with all the additions of, you know, instances being shorter, cross-realm leveling, cross-realm dungeons, looking for raid, this all, to me, it cut away from the immersion, because it all became mini games within a game to get where you want to go, and it also loses a lot of the immersion that you would have in the game otherwise. Immersion also means community. I think community is a large part of immersion, because without a community in MMO there wouldn't be no immersion, because you get sucked into a world and you find other people to play with, and then, you know, you build a community. And that community used to be really good in WoW, per server at least, but after all these mini games that they introduced, it kind of, you know, faded away. Yeah, community. What needs to change to go back to that? Because right now, I can't remember the last time I actually met someone playing this game, other than maybe recruiting for your raiding setup. You know, in the beginning of World of Warcraft and Burning Crusade, before the tools that I implemented for looking for group, you had to actually find people in a trade chat, and then you had to spend, you know, at least an hour or more often in a dungeon or in your group with that person. And because you were a part of the server and locked to your server, you needed to be helpful, because if you were helpful to other people, it would benefit yourself. So automatically you would, you know, try to work together to the same goal, and you would help other people out because it would help you, and then you'd often end up with people in your friends list. Of course there were trolls and idiots back then as well, but it was a lot harder to be a troll or a hater or an idiot or a ninja looter, because you were tied to your server and people kind of knew each other back then. And after the looking for group, and especially cross-realm looking for group, got implemented, it kind of, that whole aspect of the game went away, because ninja looters could get away with it because you will never see them again. You know, people stop talking to each other. If you wipe, people leave. If you know, but ninjas are so easy that you don't even wipe anymore. So the only thing you get is a hi and a bye, and the instance lasts 15 minutes. And you don't. There's no need to make a conversation, to get into a conversation, because you'll never see those people again, or it's not likely, at least. And that really just takes away from the immersion and the community. Now, of course, Blizzard is trying to get that feeling back a little, and I'm not sure if they're heading to the right direction with the latest edition of Looking for Raid, because I think that's just utter shit. But it's hard. It's a hard thing to get back, because obviously people don't have the amount of time, or don't want to spend the amount of time anymore that they used to. You know, looking for a group for 2 hours and then spending the rest of your day pretty much inside a dungeon just to get a couple of items. That just doesn't work anymore. So they need to find an alternative way to get the community together again, and I'm actually not sure how they can do that. I think maybe they need to at least tie Looking for Raid and Looking for Dungeon to server, or maybe, you know, just for your server, but then, you know, the queues would get longer and people would start queuing about that. So I'm not sure. Another way is also leveling, of course. You know, they added the cross realm stuff there as well, and I'm not sure if that was a good decision. They wanted more world PvP, but I mean, everyone knows that world PvP doesn't work well, especially not with, you know, the gear differences in levels and the imbalance between classes at lower levels. But questing needs to change. It's too personal. Like dailies, for example. I think dailies is one thing that they can really add more community to if they could make it more open. I actually talked about this with some guildies recently, and I think personally that they need to make more like Rift does, and like Guild Wars 2 does, where it's more open, where there's an event going on in the world and then people can help towards the same goal. I mean, it will make people work together, maybe have some automated groups, and then go from there. Cross realm stuff is not the answer, definitely not, because that would just not. I mean, the same will happen to what's happening to Looking for Raid and what's happening to Looking for Group. You know, very impersonal and not very fun. Because right now, if you do dailies, I mean, yeah, you sure, someone might invite you and you're in a group with 3 people for 10 minutes and you get your dailies done and that's it, but you don't really talk to each other at all. So they definitely need to find a new formula to that as well. Community within guilds, though, is still great, and hopefully it will stay that way, but Blizzard really needs to try to work on getting people to work together, forcing them to work together in certain situations with having to talk to each other. Don't make things too easy. You know, get the challenge back into the game. You know, not just time-wise, but also just obstacle-wise. You know, that people need to communicate in order to get through a certain scenario, dungeon, or dailies for that matter. And so Endgame is this also very important to get the next habit. You know, community and immersion tie directly into Endgame, because as soon as you hit max level, you want something to do, and dailies, dungeons are a huge part of that. So I think those 3 things, immersion, community, and endgame, are very important, and they need to have a critical look at how they can tie those things better together again, because, you know, endgame is great, but I kind of miss some of the parts of WoW where you were, you know, out in the world and suddenly met someone and then add them to your friends list, and then, you know, they'll be in your friends list for the rest of your WoW life. I also want to talk about endgame. It's generally really important in an MMO, because no, we're gonna cut that out. Never mind. But yeah, I think those 3 things are really important. Then I want to talk a bit about Thunderforged. So the next patch is coming in, I think, 2 weeks from now, first week of March. They said in February, but I guess they're not making that. So 1st of March, the first week of March, which is fine. There's a lot of stuff I can cover about 5.2, but you know, so many sites already cover all that stuff, so it's really not important to go over all the changes. I just want to talk a bit about Thunderforged. This is a new thing, you're probably aware of this, that they're adding in the new raid instance where there's a chance for you to get a Thunderforged version of an item that drops from a boss. And that item will be slightly better, kind of like the elite mode, except that this is not a guaranteed drop, this is like a small chance, and if you're raiding 25 man, the chance will be higher than in 10 man, which is one of the weird ways where Blizzard still think that 25 man raiding is important at this point, but that's a whole different discussion for another time. Anyway, what do you think about Thunderforged items? You know, do you think it's a good addition to the game where, you know, if you have to go through those farm bosses, it might be nice to still be able to get some loot because you already have that loot, but you suddenly get the Thunderforged version, so that's a kind of a nice upgrade? Or will it just annoy the hell out of you because you only have normal and now Thunderforged, and the other person you raid might have 3 items, and, you know, kind of gets imbalanced that way? I have... you know, my pros and my cons on that. I think mostly cons, but I guess they're trying. That's the great thing about Blizzard. They do try a lot of stuff, and if it doesn't work out, they'll not try it again. But they're at least trying certain things, and that's good. I mean, it's not going to affect me in any way, but they could have done something different with that Thunderforged. Maybe like involve some crafting. As I always say this, they need to do more with the crafting, you know. Maybe if you get an item, you can somehow upgrade it with a profession, with materials that you get from that raid, for example, or stuff like that. And they can also do a lot more other things with professions that I'll go into another time, but right now I'm talking about Thunderforged in particular. So yeah, Thunderforged. I don't know. I guess I have to see it in action. Likely that our 10-man raiders won't see that much anyway. But yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about Thunderforged? Also, what do you think about all the other things that I've talked about? You know, I would like your opinion on, you know, what is immersion for you, and what do you think should change inside the game to help the community, and why do you think Endgame is important? I don't know when the next episode will be, whenever really. Have fun playing. Good luck with new content. Until next time. See ya.